The silence of the vacuum of space was broken only by the sound of Jiren's heavy breathing. He floated amidst the rubble of a destroyed planet, his muscles still sore from the battle in the Tournament of Power. His fists were clenched, and his eyes, previously impassive, now burned with a mixture of frustration and determination. Jiren thought, "Goku!" The name echoed in his mind like a bitter mantra. That Saiyan, who in the middle of battle, without any prior training, had achieved Ultra Instinct, a technique that not even the gods of destruction had fully mastered. And not only that, Frieza and Android 17 had also contributed to his downfall. He, the strongest warrior in Universe 11, had been defeated by a teamwork he had never imagined facing. Shame consumed Jiren. He had always believed that brute force and discipline were enough, but the Tournament of Power proved him wrong. There was something more, something beyond simple physical training. It was then that he remembered Belmod, an enigmatic being as old as the angels themselves. He remembered that in one of his training sessions with the god of destruction of his universe, he said he possessed forbidden knowledge, techniques that not even the great priests dared to teach. If anyone could help him overcome his limits, it was him. Jiren found Belmod on his planet, where the stars seemed to dissolve into purple mists and time flowed irregularly. The clown-like being awaited him with an ambiguous smile. "Belmod, so the great Jiren seeks more power? I was not defeated by lack of strength. But Goku, he achieved something beyond. I need to surpass that." Belmod laughed, a sound that seemed to tear the very air, and then said, "Ultra Instinct is not just a technique, Jiren. It is a state of being, and to achieve it, you need to go beyond what you already know." Jiren frowned and said, "What do you mean?" Belmod stretched out his hand, and a portal opened before them, showing two opposing extremes. On one side, a blazing sun, so intense that even Jiren's vision hurt to look at. On the other, an abyss of eternal ice, where the cold was so absolute that time itself seemed to freeze. Belmod spoke, "To transcend, you must face both extremes, the power of the sun and the power of the cold. Only when you master both will you understand the true balance of power." Jiren looked at the two scenarios, confused but determined, and said, "How will this make me stronger?" Belmod smiled again. "You'll understand soon enough." Jiren was thrown headfirst into the heart of the incandescent star. The heat was unbearable, burning his skin even with his superhuman endurance. Every molecule in his body felt like it was being disintegrated, but he resisted. Jiren shouted, "Is this a test?" Belmod's voice echoed. "This isn't just a test. Jiren, you're inside the plasma of the sun, which we call the greater sun. There may be some suns in other universes, but nothing compares to the greater sun. Hold on tight, use your ki, and protect yourself. But remember, the sun isn't just destruction. It's life. It's pure energy. You must absorb it, not just resist it." Jiren closed his eyes, trying to come to terms with the pain. He had always faced everything with brute force, but now he needed to do something different. Control, understand. Slowly, amidst the plasma inferno, he felt something change. His aura, previously just a reflection of his power, began to glow with golden intensity, as if it were merging with the sun itself. Before he could fully adjust, Jiren was thrown into the icy abyss. The contrast was so violent that he nearly lost his senses. The cold was unlike anything he had ever experienced. Not just a low temperature, but a total absence of energy, as if the vacuum itself were sucking his life force. Belmod whispered, "Now, Jiren, the opposite. Here the light never came. You are in absolute cold. It is not just the lack of heat. It is the stillness, the immobility, the moment before action." Jiren tried to move, but his muscles were rigid, his ki nearly frozen inside him. He fought against the stagnation, but the more he resisted, the more the cold consumed him. It was then that he remembered Belmod's words. Balance. He stopped struggling. Instead, he allowed the cold to envelop him, feeling its essence. And slowly, his aura changed again, becoming translucent, almost invisible, as if he were becoming one with the void. When Jiren opened his eyes, he was back in front of Belmod, but something was different. His body radiated a calm but intense energy, as if he were on the threshold between action and stillness. Belmod said, "You begin to understand. The sun and the cold are extremes, but true power lies in the balance between them. Just as Ultra Instinct is not just movement, but the perfect harmony between action and instinct." Jiren looked down at his hands, feeling a new strength pulsing within him. He had not achieved Ultra Instinct, but now he knew he was on the right path. Jiren asked, "What next?" Belmod smiled. "Now the real test begins." "What is this test? I have no time for games." His eyes narrowed defiantly. Belmod spoke, his voice echoing with a tone of wicked amusement. "Game? You think facing the extremes of creation was just a warm-up? A black portal opened behind Belmod. From this darkness, two figures emerged, one wreathed in solar flames, the other emanating a chill that made the air crystallize. Jiren. Who are they? His fists clenched automatically, his body already preparing for battle. Belmod. Solaris and Glaceon, the living embodiment of what you just faced. Defeat them and you will take the next step. Solaris struck first, his movements as quick as light. Jiren barely had time to defend himself when a punch wrapped in solar plasma slammed into his torso, sending the Grey One flying. Jiren, grrr! He spat, feeling his insides burn. Solaris spoke, his words burning like his body. Weakling, did you think understanding the sun would be enough? Jiren slowly stood up, his new red aura pulsing. This time when Solaris attacked, he didn't resist. Jiren simply accepted the sun and absorbed it. The heat that should have destroyed him now flowed through him, fueling his power. Jiren said, "Now it's my turn." With those words, Jiren's counterattack was a simple punch, but one charged with all the solar energy he had absorbed. Solaris exploded into 1,000 fragments of light. Before Jiren could celebrate, the cold paralyzed him. Glaceon was behind him, his icy hands wrapped around his shoulders. Glaceon spoke, "The heat has made you stronger, but what will the cold do to you?" Jiren felt his blood stop, his muscles freeze. Even his thoughts seemed to slow down. But then he remembered. It wasn't about resisting, but about becoming one with the cold. Jiren, you are just the other side of the same coin. When Glaceon tried to strike the Grey One to freeze him completely, he found his hands passing right through Jiren, as if he wasn't there at all anymore. Jiren said, "My turn." His fist pierced Glaceon's chest, not with force but with perfect control. The ice shattered into millions of crystals. Belmod slowly applauded as Glaceon's remains dissipated. Belmod said, "Impressive, you're learning fast." Jiren spoke. That was just the beginning, wasn't it? He was breathing heavily, but there was a new spark in his eyes. Belmod spoke, "Indeed. Now that you understand balance, it's time to test it against the only opponent that truly matters." Jiren spoke. "And who would that be?" His eyes shone brightly, already suspecting the answer. Belmod spoke. "Goku himself, of course. But not a copy, not a simulacrum, the true warrior of Universe 7. A dimensional portal opened, revealing a glimpse of planet Earth, where Goku was training amidst the mountains. Jiren spoke. "Then let's go." His fists clenched, and for the first time since his defeat, a barely noticeable smile appeared on his face. Belmod spoke. "First, there's something you should know. Goku has evolved since the Tournament of Power. He now masters Ultra Instinct more steadily. Are you ready?" Jiren replied, "I didn't train to lose." His voice was calm, but filled with determination. Belmod laughed, pleased, and said, "Excellent. Then, let's go to Universe 7. Jiren looked at the portal, feeling the newfound power pulsing through his veins. The balance between the sun and the cold was now part of him, and he was ready to prove that he had surpassed his limits. Jiren thought, "This time, Goku, there will be no draws." With a firm step, he approached the portal, his heart pounding with anticipation. The rematch would finally happen, and Jiren couldn't be happier. In Universe 7, Jiren landed with a thud on the rocky plateau. Jiren said, "Goku, I finally found you." Goku replied, "Jiren? Wow, what a surprise. What brings you here to planet Earth?" A voice echoed in the mountains before Jiren could answer. Belmod said, "Ah, the famous son Goku. We can finally get to know each other better, right? By the way, you had a great fight against Jiren in the Tournament of Power." Goku replied, "Wow, you're the clown god who was in the tournament, right?" Jiren said, "It seems like you don't change, huh? I just ask that you have more respect, Goku. Belmod is the one responsible for me being here today." Belmod said, "Yes, I made sure to bring our friend Jiren for a special rematch." Beerus and Whis appeared in a flash of light. Belmod said, "Ah, Lord Beerus, always so protective of his backyard." Jiren said, "I didn't come to cause destruction. I just want my rematch." Goku replied, "Beerus, please, it's just a friendly fight." Belmod said, "Look how excited your warrior is, Beerus." Beerus said, "I haven't even opened my mouth yet and you're already speaking for me. It seems like you already know what I'm going to say." Belmod said, "We're not asking for permission." Beerus said, "Look at this lazy visitor. In my universe, I'm the one in charge, not you, Belmod. You can't just come here and think you can decide anything." Whis said, "But Lord Beerus, it would be so interesting to watch this fight, and think of the snacks we could eat watching this fight." Belmod said, "Imagine, Beerus, The same excitement as the Tournament of Power, but now with VIP seats and no Zeno-sama to bother you. Beerus rubbed his chin, his eyes shining slightly. Beerus said, that sounds very interesting. Goku replied, Beerus, are you going to let me? Jiren said, finally some sense in this conversation. Beerus said, okay, but on my terms. Whis, prepare the containment barrier. Whis swung his staff elegantly. Whis said, my pleasure, a special arena, proof against universal destruction. A dome of green energy surrounded the battle area. Belmod said, perfect, now we'll have our show. Goku replied, that's it, let's go Jiren. Jiren said, don't disappoint me, Goku. The two warriors assumed their combat stances, their auras colliding and creating sparks of pure energy. Belmod spoke, let the true test of power begin. The air shook. Goku replied, it's time, Jiren. His eyes glowed silver. Ultra Instinct took over his body before he could even think. His muscles moved on their own, dodging Jiren's first attack by pure reflex. Jiren spoke, good, you've improved. He didn't smile, but there was a gleam of approval in his eyes as Goku charged forward like lightning, his punches creating distortions in the air. Jiren blocked each one, but his body recoiled a few inches with each impact. Goku replied, you won't take me down that easily. Jiren spoke, don't underestimate my determination. Suddenly, Jiren counterattacked with a blow that seemed to come from all sides at once. Goku narrowly dodged it, but the sharp wind from the punch ripped off part of his GE. Whis said, amazing, Jiren is predicting Ultra Instinct's moves. Beerus said, Goku is being cornered. There's something new about Jiren. Belmod said, exactly what I wanted to see. Jiren closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, his aura exploded in a red and silver whirlwind, mixing the heat of the sun and the absolute cold that he had mastered. Jiren said, Goku, this is my new power, the true essence of strength. I have the power of the sun and the absolute cold. I am invincible. The ground cracked beneath his feet. The pressure was so intense that even Whis' barrier trembled. Goku replied, wow, so you were holding something like this in the tournament? Jiren said, no. This is new, thanks to Belmod. Goku smiled, despite the tension. Goku replied, now that's fighting. Goku concentrated all his energy into a single point, his body shining like a star. He knew he couldn't waste any movement. Goku replied, let's end this once and for all. Jiren said, I agree. The two flew toward each other. The impact was so violent that Whis' barrier cracked for a second before regenerating. An explosion of light blinded everyone for an instant. When the dust settled, Goku was on his knees, his Ultra Instinct deactivated. He was breathing heavily, trying to get up. Jiren remained standing, his aura still pulsing, but his face finally showed tiredness. Jiren said, you are strong, Goku. Goku fell forward to the ground but still managed to raise his thumb. Goku replied, besides Frieza, now I have someone else to overcome. His eyes closed. Beerus said, pathetic. Goku hadn't expected Jiren to reach this level. We said, what a fascinating fight. Jiren has truly transcended his limits. Belmod said, perfect, exactly as planned. His eyes shone with something that wasn't just satisfaction. It was ambition. Jiren looked down at his hands, feeling the power that now coursed through his veins. Jiren said, Goku, you still amaze me. He then turned to Belmod. Jiren said, what's next? Belmod said, now, the real test begins. He extended his hand and a black portal opened behind him, swallowing the light around it. Jiren looked at Goku lying on the ground for one last moment before turning around. Jiren said, until next time, Goku. Beerus said, wait! The god of destruction charged forward like lightning, his face distorted with fury. His purple aura exploded, making the ground shake. Beerus said, you think you can come here, defeat my warrior, and leave like nothing happened? Belmod said, oh, Beerus, always so dramatic. It was just a little test, nothing personal. Beerus said, test! His eyes blazed with divine fury. This is a disgrace. Whis said, Lord Beerus, please calm down. The angel appeared between the two, his staff glowing softly. Whis said, this is no time for fighting. Goku is injured. Beerus growled but took a step back. He looked at Goku, who was still unconscious on the ground, and his tail wagged in anger. Whis said, let me take care of him. He touched the tip of his staff to Goku's chest, and a soft light enveloped his body. Within seconds, the wounds began to heal. Goku slowly opened his eyes, blinking against the light. Goku replied, ugh. What happened? Whis said, you lost, Goku, but you fought really well. Goku sat up, rubbing his head. Then his eyes lit up as his memory returned. Goku replied without a hint of bitterness. Oh yeah, Jiren! He was amazing! Man, I need to train so much more. Beerus said, You're happy about this? He rubbed his forehead in exasperation. You got defeated on your own planet, Goku replied. Of course I'm happy, now I have another reason to get stronger. He looked over to where Jiren and Belmod were, but they were already gone. Where did they go? We said, wherever Belmod wants to go. That's always been the problem with him. No one knows for sure what his plans are. Beerus crossed his arms, his face still frowning in a mix of anger and concern. Beerus said, I don't like this. Belmod never shows up without a reason, and now he has Jiren under his control. Whis said, It's worrying. Goku replied, but Jiren doesn't seem like the type to let others boss him around. Beerus said, You don't get it, Goku. Belmod isn't like the others. He doesn't just want power, he wants to test the limits of the impossible, and that includes using warriors like Jiren as pawns in his games. Goku was silent for a moment, thinking. Goku replied, So, he wants Jiren to get stronger for some reason? We said, Exactly. And if he brought Jiren here, it's because you're part of this plan too. Beerus grumbled, looking up at the sky where the portal had closed. Beerus said, What is he up to? Goku replied, Well, whatever it is, I'm going to get stronger to face them again. He looked at Beerus and Whis and said, You're going to help me, right? Beerus said, Teach! Of course, someone has to fix this mess. Whis said, Of course, Goku, but this time maybe we should call some reinforcements. Goku smiled excitedly. Goku replied, That's right, let's call Vegeta, Gohan, everyone! Beerus sighed, but a small involuntary smile appeared on his face. Beerus said, Just don't regret this later. As the sun set over the horizon, the three sat in silence for a moment, each wondering what the future held, curious about Belmod's plans. Beerus spoke, I hate it when things get complicated. Guys, this is how we end this epic story. Does it deserve a continuation? Well, leave your comment and of course subscribe to the channel and also leave your like and bye.